Living green or sustainably is about more than saving on your electric bill and doing your part to protect natural resources. It is about a safer and healthier life for you and your family without sacrificing style, quality, or budget. This is a movement to provide all of us with clean air to breathe and water to drink, safe, healthy food to eat and places to live, and energy to run the places where we live, learn, play, and work. The Everyday Green Home Podcast helps you get the value of green for you, your family, and your community. Whether it's green homes, green living, or the people who make it happen, join me, Marla Esser-Close, to learn how green and sustainability practices and products work for you and our world. Your home is your refuge. It's the place where life happens. You know, the little stuff that happens every day, where you wake up and smell the coffee, where you read your kiddo a bedtime story, scratch your dog's tummy, and all the other little actions that make our houses home. But our homes have a secret life. With all the complexity of our modern life, we unknowingly may be living in, building, or remodeling a home that is not in our best interest. It may be something big like old lead paint or mold, or new paint and cabinets that off-gas. Not good. But chances are it's the small stuff. The leaky toilet, the drafty window, or the products you use to clean and sanitize. Having a green or greener home does not have to be hard or require sacrifice. A green home is not all or nothing. It starts with making smart choices about products and materials as you live in, build, or remodel your home. Just making a different choice in an appliance or plumbing or lighting fixture or even paint can set you on the course to a home which works better for you and yours. With the help of my book, Living Green Effortlessly Simple Choices for a Better Home, we will cover the basics of the systems and features of your home and how to make the best of them. Join me to get started on your better home. Well, hi there. It's Marla, the Green Home Coach, and thank you for coming to hear about how you can take advantage of what I am sharing with you to make your home more comfortable, healthier, and safer. So this is a series and a podcast all about my book, which for those of you on the video, you can see Living Green Effortlessly, Simple Choices for a Better Home. And I kind of joke sometimes that I really wish we'd called it Simple Choices for a Better Home, Living Green Effortlessly, because so many of the choices that we make about our home, if we just make a different choice, a swap, then we oftentimes can really impact how we live in our homes. We can have healthier, safer outcomes just simply by those simple choices. So I wrote this book for that reason, so that with the help of this book, my book, we will cover the basics of the systems and the features of your home and how to make the best of them. Each week, each session, I'm not sure if they'll be weekly, depends how you listen to them. But each session, we will cover another chapter in the book. So if you would like to follow along in the book, you can check one out from your library. I have one or two loaner copies. You can reach out to me, Marla at greenhomecoach.com, and I'll get you one. Or if you go to my website, greenhomecoach.com, there's several places on there you can purchase your own copy. So you can make notes. And if you look at mine, it's kind of funny. I use mine a lot. So I have all of these bookmarks and highlights and notes. So I use it a lot. It has been a great teaching tool for me. So part of this will be reading some excerpts from the book, stories that go along with it, and definitely more in the book. So I hope you get a chance to check it out. Chapter 2, your comfort, health, and safety. Start where you live. Little visual aid today. So between you and the outdoors are the roof, the walls, the windows, the floors, and the doors. These keep you safe and warm and comfortable inside your house. hopefully. The roof and gutters handle the rain and the snow and keep you dry, hopefully. Inside the walls and under the roof and in the basement ceiling is insulation. This insulation acts as a sweater for your home, keeping out the wind and keeping the heated air in the winter and cooled air in the summer, hopefully. The hopefully is what kind of gets us, huh? Comfort. What is a building envelope? Your house, no matter what materials it's made of, surrounds you with an envelope of protection from the elements. So just like we saw in our house, we cut into that envelope to make doors and windows, breaking the seal and letting the weather in. But there are other places where the elements can get in and where the energy you're paying for can get out. The loss of heating and cooling through these various openings costs you money and makes you uncomfortably cold in the winter and too hot in the summer. This is why you want to focus on sealing and insulating the envelope of your house as well as you can. This is number one, every smart owner's list. Okay, my commentary now. Strangely enough, I've been working on a presentation to do for a very big conference. And it's all been about health and comfort in our homes. And with COVID, we have been living in our homes so hard. And our homes have really become our everything. It's where we work and play and learn and cook and gather and relax and work out. So all of a sudden, we're putting all of this on our homes. And our building envelope and how well our structure supports us is so critical to how well that all works, especially when we're living in our homes. So much harder. So keep that in perspective as we go through this chapter and think about ways that you've been living in your home over this past almost year and how that's changed what you've thought about your home and what kind of things you'd like to do differently, because that's really what I want to help you to do through these teachings and my workshops and my book and all of this is help you find the things that you can do so your home's more comfortable, it's healthier, and it supports you better, because I'm all about our homes supporting us rather than us supporting them all the time, right? Okay, so back to this whole idea of comfort and the building envelope. There's so many components to our building envelopes, the windows, the doors, the walls, how well they're sealed, the materials they're made out of. And a lot of times, a lot of the homes in the 70s and the 80s were built really tight, but they didn't pay attention to the materials they brought in. And they sometimes had moisture problems, or they had too many pollutants in there, or various components didn't last as long as they thought. So at any rate, I lived in a condo, a 3-story condo in the St. Louis area a few years ago. And both winters that I lived there, or the first winter I lived there, not great windows, and they weren't well sealed. And I got all this cold air coming in. My sofa was right up against a bank of windows. And I mean, just to sit there in the winter, it was just whoosh, whoosh, still breezy, cold air coming. So I knew that replacing the windows was going to be a much bigger ticket item than I could do right then. And it got so cold that winter that the windows iced. I mean, I had a glaze of frost on them. And I had these really wonderful insulated cellular blinds that were insulating. So they were great. They also insulated some of the noise. So I would have those down to insulate, especially at night. And when it got so cold that the windows iced, when I pulled those blinds up, it was just this blast of cold air. I mean, that's the year we had that polar vortex thing, and it was really, really cold. So before the next winter, decided to get ahead of it. And we bought those kits to cover your window. It is plastic. I'm not a big fan of plastic, but in this case, it really, really helped. And anyway, we'll have another plastic discussion at another time. But I bought enough of the sheeting to cover the windows, and they have special tape. You cut it to fit and tape it up, and then you blow dry it to make it taut, to stretch it. And that made such a huge difference. I mean, immediately, and like 2 days later, it was like unseasonably 20 degrees below what it normally was or something. And it was like November or December. So we were like down in the teens. And I could open the blinds and not get that whoosh of cold air. So it was really, really helpful. But the other thing around those windows is that where the sills met the walls needed to be caulked. They weren't really well sealed. And this brings us up to the next topic in the chapter called Finding Air Leaks in Your Home. So before you can solve the problem of air leaks, you need to find them. And this is what gets challenging. Hiring a pro is definitely one way. I am a big advocate of bringing in a home energy assessor or auditor, depending what they're called in your area, to really go through an assessment of your home and help you find those. However, I know that's not always practical, or maybe you just have a couple of things. So you may be in DIY mode doing it yourself. So there's some different ways that, like with an incense stick, you can go past the edges of the doors and the windows and see where the smoke blows. Sometimes you can just feel it with your hand where there's a draft. And then once you've identified where those leaks are, you can go in and seal them. Outside doorways, you can do with weather stripping or a sweep, or maybe both. A sweep goes on the bottom of the door. Windows, you can also do the weather stripping around the window part itself. And if you go into your local hardware store, they will be very helpful in helping you get the right materials for your particular application. I put the foam inserts into the external outlets in my homes, and that helps to stop any of the air that may be coming in from the outside through the outlet boxes. And caulk can be your best friend. Wherever there's a juncture between materials, it can leak. So caulking that up, sealing that up can be a huge help. Also remember, heat rises. So go up. Most of our homes have the insulation in the ceiling of our homes or the floor of the attic. And there's access points for your utilities, your cable, your vent pipes, your chimneys, your anything that needs to go up goes up through the attic. And a lot of times those punctures in the attic don't get sealed. So all that warm air is going up through those gaps. So if you can identify them, if you've got a lot of insulation up there, it's really challenging to do. I'm just going to tell you that right off the bat. So it's not always feasible to do this. If you are redoing your insulation, that's a good time to get done what you can. Or if you're changing out insulation types, if you're doing a remodel, that's an obvious time to get all of this stuff battened down and tightened up as much as you can. So get those filled up wherever you can. If you're building a home, for sure, get all those spots filled in, sealed up, so you don't have to deal with that. So what if you live in a rented place and you really can't do a lot of this stuff? Even temporary measures like door snakes, I don't know if you've ever seen these, or door doggies, I've seen them called both, but they're long rolls of, I don't know, they're sand or stuffing or some kind of different material, it depends. But you can put those up underneath the door to stop drafts from coming in there. So in windows, on the windowsill ledges, you can also do that. So anywhere that you can stop that air from coming in is going to make you more comfortable, if nothing else, just because you're not going to have that wind going over your body. And that's what cools us. So that's what we want in the summer, is we want the breeze, but not in the winter. So remember, insulation works better when the air leaks are plugged. It's kind of like wearing a parka coat unzipped doesn't do you a bunch of good. So zip the coat of your house and help it stay warm in the winter and cooler in the summer, because it will also help to keep the cool air in. So, well, here goes the next part for the health in particular. And health and safety, breathe well. I'm going to read for a bit. While plugging up drafts makes sense in terms of comfort and health, quality of the air in your home may not be what you think of next. But in a system, this is how one thing leads to another. With the building envelope sealed up tight, the air in your house doesn't get exchanged for fresh air unless you make it happen. Most people can't see or smell problems in air quality. They just get used to it. Irritability, low energy, aching muscles, and fatigue can all be tied to the quality of the air you breathe. Coughing, sneezing, and headaches are also signs of contaminated air. When these exposures are continued over years, chronic breathing issues such as asthma can result. They don't necessarily do, but they can. To protect your health, your home must have good ventilation. Okay, I feel like the cobbler's child here right now, folks, because there's something in my home getting to me. I've been sneezing a lot and having some other issues, and I know it's something in my home. I have not identified what it is yet. I'm working on it. I'm in a pretty new home. It was a spec home when we built it. We were the first owners. So new homes, old homes, all of us can improve the air we breathe. New homes, existing homes, rental homes, owned homes, it doesn't matter. So indoor air quality really can only be improved through fresh air ventilation. Remember the V in HVAC, heating, ventilation, and air conditioning. The V is for ventilation. So 2 ways to get fresh air in, really. Open your windows or bring fresh air in through your heating and cooling system. So we open the windows as much as we can. Anytime the temperature is above low 60s, we open up the windows. And yeah, if you've got allergies, that's a challenge too, right? But right now, the trade-off for us is good, that we're opening windows as much as we can. Fortunately, we live in Oklahoma, so we do have some warm days, usually every week or two, so we can open up the house. But that's not a really great long-term solution. Our goal here, hopefully in the next month or two, is to get some kind of fresh air ventilation into our heating and cooling system so that we have continual fresh air coming in. We did put some enhanced filters on. And excuse me a moment, and I'm going to show you what one of these looks like. So forgive me, I didn't grab my prop. So this is the kind of filter we put in. This is just a little sample. And this is one from a company I found out in Texas called Green Screen. And what's really cool about this, and for those of you on the podcast, I'll put a link in the podcast notes so y'all can go see what these look like. But so you get this aluminum frame, and it's custom made. If you have a non-standard size, the company will make you a custom size. So that's really great. And you just keep replacing the inside, but the frame stays up and goes back up every time. So what's unique about these is most of the filters that I've seen are pleated. So all of the pollutants and the dust and everything, it gathers on the surface of the filters. I should have brought one of those too to show you. But this filter has 3 layers. So it doesn't slow down the air nearly as much because it can go through, because it's almost like a woven, I'd say fiberglass, but it's not. I think it's polyester. There's a white layer, and that captures the bigger particles. And then you can see there's a green layer, and that captures smaller particles. And then on the back, it's tacky. It's not sticky, it's just tacky. So that captures a lot of the really smaller stuff. And these filters have helped. And we're not there yet. The lady that she and her husband own this company down in Texas, excuse me, her name's Gay. And one of the things Gay has told me is that after they had to use these filters for a few years, but they were able to get off of all of their allergy medicines after a few years. Now, it's not an immediate fix. It takes a while for this to all get out and for us to adjust to it. But it is one way to start helping getting your air quality better. You can also add an air purifier and advanced filtration systems, depending on what you need. There's room ones that, just really can work. The room you sleep in is the most important. So a lot of people just have them in the room they sleep in. We try to run the fan before we go to bed so that we can get the air through that filter and clean it before we go to sleep. And that does help some. So think about how you're filtering that air and get that fresh air in. The other thing is, which is a whole nother chapter too, as well, is don't bring in the stuff that gets the air as nasty. Part of it we can't help, but like bringing in pollutants and toxins and things like that, if we can cut that down, that helps too. So other ways in your home that you can improve the indoor air quality: run your exhaust fans in your bathroom every time you shower. Anything steamy, turn that exhaust fan on. If you don't remember, then get a humidistat so that as soon as it hits a certain humidity level in your bathroom, it'll automatically turn on. There's all kinds of automatic ones out there in your big box stores, on Amazon. I've got a couple on my shop, but a good exhaust fan that you remember to use, and get one that's quiet so it doesn't bother you so much because you'll use it more. So use your exhaust fans in your bathroom. They're not just to get the sink out. You want to get the moisture out too. Use your exhaust fan over your range when you cook. We release a huge amount of moisture and toxins when we cook. So just remembering to turn that exhaust fan. Make sure your dryer is vented to the outside. If you smoke or vape, smoke outside. Get it out of the house. And then here's a really great one that a lot of people are starting to catch on to is plants. So back in 1980s, NASA, the space NASA, put together a list of plants that help to clean the air. And there's been some really great anecdotal stories that this has really helped. And I do trust NASA quite a bit. And they put together a list of about 10 plants that are really great for helping to clean the air. And I have a few of them: mother-in-law tongue. I've had peace lilies. I have English ivy. I'm not going to pronounce this right. Gerbera daisy. I got to learn how to pronounce that. Any rate, I will put a link in the show notes to this list. It's also in my book. I can't turn to the right page number at the moment, but getting plants in. Now, you need a lot of them if you really want to clean the air, but they're a great way to start because plants breathe in carbon dioxide and breathe oxygen out. So there you go. So indoor air cleaning through a lot of tactics. If you can do these, all the little things add up. Now, I will say, obviously, there's a fair amount of research that you can do. Researching for the best filters, for the best plants, for the best bathroom fans. And if you're really having a hard time with the research, turn to the green labels, turn to those third-party independent organizations and certifications that have green labels for lower toxic, lower chemical products, for things that are energy efficient. There's a whole list of these labels in my book and some of the other resources that I also cite. So that will really help you. The next thing you need to think about to keep your indoor air clean is cleaning. So what does cleaning have to do with air quality? Everything. Okay, I'm going to get gross for a minute. Dust carries germs, and it's comprised mainly of dead skin cells from us and our pets and plants. And I know, yuck, right? So getting the dust out of our homes is pretty imperative. There's also some germs and viruses that can hitch a ride on dust. So we want to get it out of our home. But here's the thing. Some of the ways that we've dusted over time just move the dust around. They don't necessarily get it out. You want to remove the dust. Vacuuming's your best bet. That really sucks it out. And if you've got a HEPA filter on your vacuum, that's the best way to do it. The next best thing is to use microfiber cloths. And I usually have one right on my desk, and I took it to get cleaned, so it's not. But we use microfiber cloths everywhere in our house. So if you just missed that microfiber cloth to get it damp, it will pick up the dust and remove it. So rather than you're moving it around, you're removing it, you're taking it away. I am not a fan of using any of these fancy sprays that make it shiny and stuff, because they can just trap the dust. And then you're stuck with like oily dust residue on your furniture, and that's yucky. So get the dust out. Remember to dust knickknacks and lamps and fans. The tops of our ceiling fans get really icky. When you try to dust the coils, the refrigerator every month or two, the more we can keep things clean, two things happen. One, our indoor air quality is better. And two, things work better, because dirty stuff doesn't work well. It makes it less efficient. So I told you we'd come back to chemicals, and we'll talk more about toxins in some other chapters as well. It comes up a lot. But here's the other thing, is anything that you bring into your home that has fragrance in it, or smell really, has typically strong chemicals, and synthetic fragrances are in many of our cleaning products. And a lot of times they list fragrance as an ingredient, and they don't have to tell you what's in fragrance. It's a proprietary secret. So what are the kinds of things that you may be unknowingly bringing in strong chemicals and synthetic fragrances? Cleaning products for your home, laundry products, dish soaps and dishwasher soaps, air fresheners, and personal care products. I have, if you've heard my personal story, or one of them, my daughter had a really pretty severe reaction to chemicals. And it turned out to be a laundry additive. And one of the things the doctors recommended was get all the stuff with fragrance and dyes out of anything that touched her skin. So this is what started that part of my journey on the chemical side of things, was getting it out of our house. So, and this was a while ago. It was probably almost 15 years ago. And it was really hard to find this stuff because we didn't have all these, oh my gosh, we have so many great options now, but we didn't then. So fortunately, I used a lot of baby products, that free and clear baby products, because they had the fewest added stuff in them. So number one, these chemicals can cause all kinds of changes in our bodies, changes in our environment. They get into our water supply, and then we have, three-headed frogs or whatever, that we drink that water. I mean, come on, not only do the animals suffer, we suffer. A lot of these chemicals have been shown to cause genetic changes. Some of them have been shown to cause cancer. It's not worth it. And we have so many good options on the market. You can find them anywhere, your big box store, online, on Amazon, on My Shop. Lots of good options. I like to refer to the Environmental Working Groups list. They have a great list of ranking products from like A+ to F that you can refer to and look at products. Not all of them are in there, but it's pretty comprehensive. It's also a great place to go look for things if you want. And that way, you don't have to study the list as much and make all these determinations, because they're already doing that for you. Your other option is do what our great-grandparents did, make it yourself. There are a lot of DIY recipes for cleaning solutions and personal care products out on the internet, in books, in your library. And baking soda, lemon juice, and vinegar are so totally our friends, and they work great. You just have to know which one works for which surfaces and how to use it. Now, natural stuff does not sanitize. So with COVID, a lot of us want to sanitize our homes. Understandably, I do too. I'm not a big proponent of the strong chemical sanitizers. So my go-to at first during COVID was ethyl alcohol sanitizing products. So ethyl alcohol is made with plant-based alcohol. Yeah, Everclear. It's one of them. So we had some recipes for products that we made with ethyl alcohol and some other ingredients. I had a go-to hand sanitizer that was made in Southern Oklahoma that I still use, that I'm happy to connect you with as well. You can find a lot of these on my shop because I'm very fortunate to have relationships with some of these manufacturers. I have since all this started found a few other sanitizing alternatives, and they're actually cleaning appliances that change water into an EPA registered sanitizing solution. So if if there's some of these that you want to learn about, be more than delighted to help you learn it. But there are other ways to sanitize than with very strong chemicals. You want to make sure that whatever you use to sanitize and disinfect is an EPA registered disinfectant. The EPA has that list on their website. So lots of good options. Simplify, simplify, simplify. That is my motto. And, eventually it's all a little better, a little bit at a time. So lots more to come in the next chapter. Chapter 3 will be our next session. And here's where we get to talk a lot more about energy efficiency and how to be comfortable and get the most energy for your dollar. So see you next chapter. Until then, have a great green day. That wraps this episode of the Everyday Green Home Podcast. Get the show notes with all the resources mentioned in this episode, and be sure to subscribe on your favorite podcast app so you never miss an episode. Ready to get started? Get more information, how-tos, and resources in my private Facebook group, Love Your Everyday Green Home. See you there. And remember that living a little better and a little greener is easier than you think.